So I am guardedly optimistic this morning, and the reason is because Curtis Yarvin is scared. While he holds no institutional power, Yarvin is still the principal architect behind the ideological movement that's driving Trump and J.D. Vance and Peter Thiel and all of those people, and he is currently so sure that that movement is failing, that it is not succeeding in its goals, that he believes when it falls, he is going to have to flee the country for his own safety. I'm not saying the cavalry is coming. I'm not saying we don't have to fight. Nobody is going to save us but us. All of that is as true today as it was yesterday. But when you get panicked, when you want to freak out and run away because you think things aren't going well for you, Curtis Yarvin doesn't think things are going well for him either. And given how much he's invested in this, that's a pretty encouraging sign. Anyway, have a nice day.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mesuba. I just saw this video saying that Yavin is talking about leaving the country. I have to say this really shows how some people on the fair rights act when things don't get their way. Yavin has always talked like democracy is a bad thing. He says America is too free, too messy, and that people need more control. But now that he's not getting what he wanted from the system, he suddenly wants to leave? That's kind of funny. This just shows how selfish the fair rights can be. They love to shout about how much they love America until they lose power. Then they want to run away. Real love for your country means staying, fixing problems, and caring about people, not giving up when things get hard. People like Yavin always talk about freedom, but what they really want is freedom for only their side. They want to say whatever they want, but don't like it when others speak up. That's not real freedom. Real freedom means everyone has a voice, not just few rich or powerful people. When someone like Yavin says he wants to leave, it shows he doesn't believe in building a better country. He just wants comfort and control. But ordinary people like you and me don't have the choice to run away. We have to stay and fight for justice, equalities, and fairness. So yeah, if he wants to leave, let him go. The rest of us will stay here to make things better because real change comes from working together, not from escaping.
Does that say what I think it says? Well, Curtis, pardon my French, but where the fuck you think you going? You think you just gonna get out of this and walk? Hey, y'all, he trying to leave, bro. Nope. You don't get to run now that you think it's a failed experiment. Nah, bro. No. No, you don't.
I am not surprised that someone like Curtis Yarvin is making plans to flee the country. I called this. I said this many months ago that people like him, people like the spaceman, people like Peter Cottontail are not individuals that you should be afraid of. All of these cowards that talk about dark enlightenment, creating this whole new society where democracy isn't real and where they take everything over and they run your life and tell you how you're going to live through their technology was BS. The thing about people who talk like this nowadays, it should be a foregone conclusion. These people don't really have the stones to do the things that they say they want to do. They are fanboys. They are cosplayers. They are people who see these things as a wonderful fantasy to maybe we can make this happen someday in our lifetime. But they don't want to really get their hands dirty. They don't want to really get down in the mud and make the society that they say they want to make. But they promote this stuff. They promote it, they get people on board with it, they get themselves involved in politics, and they get influential people to support these ideas. And then it grows to the point where the law is being broken. Civil rights are being broken. Human rights are being violated. And the people who were championing this, the people who were cheering this on less than a year ago, now all of them are looking for a way to escape. They're all looking for a way out. But you're not getting out. You're not. This is what you wanted to build. But the point that I made many months ago is what's coming true right now. These people thought that we would be trapped in this country with them. But the reality is they are trapped in this country with us.
So I was just alerted that Curtis Yarvin wants to flee the United States. And in case you don't know who Curtis Yarvin is, he is a fucking wackadoodle blogger who wants to create his own government that is completely like police state dictators. In fact, he said this once.
If Americans want to change their government, they're going to have to get over their dictator phobia.
He's besties with Peter Thiel and is quite possibly the inspiration behind the whole Palantir thing for the police state thing. Peter Thiel, who has tried to create his own sort of little countries in other countries and then ended up suing those countries because it didn't work. Like Curtis Yarvin and the tech bros got together and they wanted to take over the US government to create their own government. Oh, and JD Vance is also a huge follower of Curtis Yarvin, and that's the whole reason that he is the vice president today. So I guess the only good news we have is that Curtis Yarvin wants to flee the fucking United States because MAGA is out of control, after he and all the tech bros used the algorithms to help Trump get into power. And Curtis Yarvin, just a few hours ago, wrote on his Substack that he was thinking about fleeing. But apparently he can't even commit to that because he actually erased that whole section. We're not even a year into them trying to take over the government, and it's already super fucking bad for us. So he's trying to flee? It must be really fucking bad.
Curtis Yarvin's head should be the first head on a stake. Bring back putting people's head on a stake when they do you wrong. His should be the first one on a stake. Yes. Don't let him try to exile himself or escape the country. Matter of fact, put his head on the stake on the tarmac at the airport that he chooses. Put his head on a stake.
In follow-up to my earlier post, I have a question for all of you guys. Who do you think is going to leave the Trump administration first? Or as I like to call them, the Trump regime. Before I tell you who I think is, it should also be of note that word is Curtis Yarvin, who's one of the architects behind everything that's going on with this administration, this regime, all the bad actors. Curtis Yarvin is expressing lately that he thinks they're blowing it. He thinks the whole plan, they didn't think it out right and it's going to fail. And word is he wants to leave. He wants to leave the country because he doesn't feel so safe. You know, there's Peter Thiel and all these other people that, you know, are in the background and don't want you to know who they are. But Curtis Yarvin, he was the guy they were all relying on early on and said he's the one with the great master plan. And apparently he doesn't have much confidence lately. And as I said earlier, I think Trump is a wannabe dictator and it ain't going to work out for him. And I think the administration is going to start falling apart. And I think one of the first people to go is going to be Marco Rubio. They're going to come up with some excuse. He is going to come up with an excuse. But I think he's going to be the first to leave. Because I think the others are wretched people. I think Pam Bondi is a creature. They have no soul. Stephen Miller, all these people, they'll all hang around. Whiskey Pete Hegseth, you know, they're nasty characters. They'll get theirs later on down the road when a new administration takes over and charges are brought against all of them. But yeah, I think that I'm putting my money on the first one to leave this administration is going to be Marco Rubio. Who do you think? Please like and share this video. It's very important. Get it around. Spread the word. Let people know what's going on here with people like Yarvin and others. I appreciate it. Comment. Give me your opinions. But definitely let me know who you think is going to leave the administration first.
Yes, I did see that. And apparently, he wrote that himself. This man has a Substack. You can Google it. And he wrote in his own Substack, he wants to flee. Already. It hasn't been a year yet, and he's already out. Or at least he wants to be out. He said he's scared of facing retribution when the blue team, when the left takes over in 2029. He sees the writing on the wall. He wants to flee the sinking ship already. I just have a question. Where's he going? Where are you going, sir? Nobody likes you. Every country hates us because of what you did, because of what you influenced. The people in charge right now, currently in Congress, everything they did was inspired by people like you, if not you in particular. You are part of the reason, if not the main reason, why we're in this position right now. And you just think you can just bounce? I get that you have a lot of money. I assume that you have a lot of money. But I seriously doubt any country would want you. Knowing exactly who you are and how much of an influence you've had on where we are today. So he can try to flee. He ain't gonna get far. And we have to consider that. We have to think about what's gonna happen to these people when the left does take over. Because in my opinion, after what the Confederates did in 1860 or the 1860s, proper justice was not dished out. It might be time we rectify that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Go ahead and do your own research on this. Use ChatGPT, use Google. But he did say this. And that should tell you something. But stay hopeful, trust your gut, and always know you're not crazy.
I haven't read a piece of journalism that has made me feel this hopeful as this San Francisco Standard piece since before November 5th, 2024. So let's talk about it. This is Curtis Yarvin. This is the guy behind the ideology that this administration is pushing. Let's read an excerpt from his 2008 manifesto. So he's the guy behind the Dark Enlightenment movement. This is what all the technocrats follow. So here we go. The liquidation of democracy, the Constitution, and the rule of law, followed by the transfer of power to a CEO-in-chief like Steve Jobs or Mark Anderson. The CEO king could transform the government into a heavily armed, ultra-profitable corporation that could retire all government employees, kill the press, and incarcerate decivilized populations. I don't know if some of you may have followed me after my semi-viral post about techno-feudalism. My ideas and pattern recognition were driven from those things, like that manifesto. Yarvin wrote a Substack entry talking about how his ideology is failing, that the Trump administration is not accelerating things. Yarvin's an accelerationist, by the way. We've talked about that on my page as well. The Trump administration is not accelerating things as quickly to his liking. And if it stalls, it explodes and it fails. And in his Substack, he's warning everyone that's behind his ideology, that's behind this movement, to have a plan B by 2029, and he's considering fleeing the country because the second revolution, and he means the Trump revolution, is going to be so much worse. He talked about how in 2020 their attempt at an insurrection failed, but that revolutions get stronger, and that as the Trump movement dissipates, these people are going to come after him, and he's afraid of also being under Democratic persecution if the Trump administration loses the Congress to Democrats. And he's afraid. Good. As Trump has been in office for like 9 months now, I've said that this ends one of three ways, right? Like, at least for our country and our situation, that either things internally collapse because you have too many cooks in the kitchen, right? They're all using the same means. They're using Trump, his ideas, his movement, but they all have different ends, and they may internally collapse, which then brings us to a power vacuum, which is also super scary because what if somebody like Peter Thiel comes into place and says, okay, I'm taking over the country? Internal collapse, outside military force, but we're the United States of America. I don't see an outside military coming in, or the people rise up and resist. That he sees these things failing is good. That means whatever we feel like we're doing, whether we feel like it's powerless, that we're not doing anything, that we're not taking enough action, we are, because they feel like they're failing. This is good news. That means we need to keep up. We can't lose sight. We got to keep the public pressure on. We got to keep making these videos. We got to keep talking. We got to keep building community. And this just goes to show that even if you feel like this is little effort and little action and it's not doing anything, it is, because they're afraid and they see it failing.
I I just heard about Curtis Yarvin. One of my friends sent me a video that he wrote on his Substack that he's scared. And he's trying to get a game plan together, and he thinks other people should get a game plan together to leave in 29. That's good. That's great, actually. He was a complete psychopath. And he thinks it's failing. He thinks Trump's plans are failing. It's not even been a year. And he thinks they're going down. Hang on to your hope, my homies. This was the news I needed today, for sure. Excuse the state. I'm a bit under the weather. I got food poisoning. Don't drink out of wells, guys. Just don't do it. I don't know why I thought my supreme luck would carry me through this. It did not.
Thanks for watching. If you believe in fairness and equalities, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's keep talking about how we can make the world better for everyone.